Hello, beautiful, beautiful soul. Welcome to Eringy. I am Erin. This is Teddy. This is your full moon energy forecast for July 2023. This is a perfect time for you to be celebrating yourself, celebrating your accomplishments, celebrating your path. And it's also a wonderful time to just let go of certain things that you just really don't want anymore. Okay, so we're in actually a bit of a sunny position at the moment, which seems a little strange when we're doing full moon readings, because generally when we create sacred spaces to do this sort of thing, it's sort of dark and you've got sort of like our candles burning and everything. But I just felt that this was the perfect time to do it, and I can feel the sun on my back. It just feels amazing because it's quite cold. So anyway, point of me telling you that is that you don't have to do this or watch this at night. You can watch it anytime. So don't stress if you're thinking, should I be watching it right now? Divine timing. So importantly, just grab a pen and paper though, and you can just write your own insights, and let's get started. Alrighty, gorgeous. So are you ready to work with the energy of the full moon? I think Teddy is as well. I think he's just kind of nice and chilled out, which is nice. All right, so what have you created since the new moon? Because remember, new moon is about new beginnings, starting fresh. Full moon is sort of where we reflect on our journey so far, and celebrate, how far we've come, even if we haven't accomplished what we wanted to. Okay, it's important just to honor the journey that we're on. So I can see here in these cards that you have found this new form of confidence within yourself. And I feel like it's probably because you've started to step more and more into your power. It's sort of, you're taking parts of your power back. You're not allowing people to decide things for you, or you're not disregarding how you feel about certain situations when you may have done that in the past because other people told you that it's, that you shouldn't be feeling that certain particular way. So this is a really, really beautiful thing. I get it that when we're working with the moon, there's a part of us that has this this need, I guess, that we want to see things shift in our life on a material level. But this year of 2023, and I said this during the forecast of this month of July, it's in a very internal year. So even though you're not seeing things materially speaking, like out in the physical world, change so much, right? Doesn't mean that things aren't changing, but they are within you. Okay, so you are way more confident in yourself, and you have to be, because this actual month of July is requiring you to be fairly resilient and tuning into that. So you are embracing that, and other people around you are starting to see how much confidence is growing within you. Okay, so celebrate that, honey. Celebrate it, because that is incredible. It's beautiful that you are really starting to believe in yourself. It really, really is. It's incredible. Even though you've got this newfound confidence, okay, like I was saying about the material things, yes, it's not changing much for you. Don't assume that because it's not changing for you out here, that it's not actually going to change ever. All right, so you might be feeling a little defeated at the moment. So you've got this newfound confidence and you're expecting that things are going to change quite substantially. But in this particular moment, this particular time, it just feels like it's like life in general is all a little bit too much. That actually really makes sense, because in our overarching energy of this month, where I speak about it in the July forecast, we were talking about how disruption is a big part of July, and how much we as spirits need to be very resilient. We need to really connect with that part of ourselves, and trust that this is the right path for us, even if it's feeling a bit murky. So I can see that here for you. It is feeling like that. You are feeling like you have been basically stabbed in the back multiple times, and it feels like you're a little down and out. This definitely relates to it can relate to the emotional things, but it certainly feels like it's more material things. So don't assume that because you're on this path and you are, you're doing so much work, that it's not working materially. Okay, it will work. There is always a delay. There is always a delay, because we have inspiration, we have intuition that comes through first. And then, there's a delay in how that's going to show up, how it manifests through our root chakra. So our root chakra is the very thing that helps us to experience our 3D life, okay, here on Earth. So that's where you're at the moment. I'm super, super, super sorry that you're feeling that way. I really am. The fact that you're feeling like it's all too much and it's just one thing after the other, I'm really sorry. Like, I know that for me personally, like, I don't know whether it's helpful for me to say sorry, but yeah, I feel terrible that is happening to you. But you've got to understand that there is an option. There is an option to move forward through this. There is an option. There are always options, and you can do it because you are very resilient. Okay, so if you feel like you just kind of need that time to just sit with it, process it, do that. Okay, just because it feels bad, it doesn't mean that you should avoid it. The key, I guess, or the difference is that how long do you sit with that? How long are you going to allow it to affect you? Okay, so just be mindful of that. If it feels like this has been a long-term thing that's going on and you're still kind of processing what has happened or what's the situation or whatever the case may be, is there a part of you that can go, you know what, that's not helpful for me anymore. I need to let that go. Okay, is there a part of you that's ready to do that? Can you do that? Okay, so I really feel like you can. I really do. And I feel like it personally. I just know you can. You got this. However, Spirit is also saying that you can. So there you go. There's like coming from two sources. You are. What's going to come through, because this energy of the full moon is sort of, breaking down some of those walls that we all tend to put up. It's shining light on those shadow parts of ourselves that we don't necessarily like, hey, I love that part of myself. But, it's a chance for us to look at it from different perspectives and be able to learn from it. And because you are doing that, and it is uncomfortable, and it does feel like you're sort of being stabbed in the back, because it's just this constant like wheel, like a mouse on a wheel type thing. It's just like you're constantly spinning and, you will eventually, through this full moon, break through, and you will feel like you can breathe again. Right? Yeah, it definitely will. It's not ideal. I want to say this. It's the situation you're in isn't ideal. It's not like what you'd put your hand up for and say, hey, I want to really experience that. So it's not ideal. However, you're making lemonade out of lemons, right? You really are. You're really trying to just say, okay, I'm going to make the best of this situation. Even if it's kind of crappy, I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, this is you, triumphant success. Hey, that's you. Okay, and it's a case of, you might need to do a bit of like a juggling act a little bit, as you kind of work your way through the little kinks in life. It might feel like you've got a few balls up in the air, trying to make it all work. It will eventually die down, but this month of July, just in general, is fairly disruptive. It's there's a lot of push and pulling, back and forth a little bit. So just be mindful that that's what that energy of this month is. And I guess then by knowing that, you can appreciate that it will pass. It, like my nan says, this too shall pass. Okay, so that is correct, it will. So I feel as though something that is really affecting you, and this is the shadow self, like the shadow parts of self as we work with the full moon, is that you are very much done with the comparison of your life in comparison to someone else's. And it's not even necessarily, and I find I do this too. It's funny that's coming through. It's not necessarily the people you know that you compare your life to, but even just on TV and stuff. Like sometimes when I'm watching certain shows like reality TV, and I'm just like, oh my God, seriously? Like the things that the opportunities that they have. Sometimes I do drop into that, like, oh, I wish I could do that too. It's not a long period of time where I sit there and think about that. But, I do catch myself at times feeling a little jealous about what they're doing or what they have, or the opportunities that they get and that kind of thing. But, I think that's very natural. I think that's a very human thing. The difference is whether or not we allow that to keep making us feel bad about our own life, and whether it gets in the way of us appreciating what we have in our own life. So you're now at this point where you are going, I'm deciding this. It's no one else. I'm deciding to feel this way. And I'm kind of done with doing that comparison. I'm done playing the comparison game. All right, so because I can see that here. There's this realization in you that, there is a certain amount of responsibility that you need to take for your own life. And I totally get that as well. And as I say that, I can totally see that that's an aspect that I too will be working on during this full moon as well, because I fall into that as well. So don't beat yourself up over it. If my words are kind of ringing true to you, don't do that, because, we are all human. We're allowed to make mistakes, and we can grow from them really beautifully if we decide that we want to. Okay, so maybe this is your chance. Maybe you can decide that no longer are you going to keep focusing on the things that aren't going well, or you're not going to focus so much on what everyone else is doing around you, or even on TV, like reality TV. I think now is your time to just focus on you. So stay in your own lane. A little like, having the blinkers on. Sometimes that's necessary. Sometimes you don't want to open up your peripheral vision and sort of see this whole 180 kind of spectrum of life. Sometimes we just need to have a bit of tunnel vision. Yeah. Okay. So use the full moon and explore if there are parts of you that feel a little jealous about other people's lives, and how can you reset that? How can you remove yourself from that jealousy? How can you, reset that switch? Gratefulness, having gratitude is certainly one of those things can definitely press that reset button. Having that, it basically means that you can start to acknowledge and appreciate everything else that is going well in your life, okay? Despite the mucky, crappy bits. Alrighty, awesome. There's also, what else is coming through with this particular part of your reading? There's also this feeling that you aren't going at the speed that you need to be going, and people around you seem to be able to just fly through their life and be able to fulfill what they want to fulfill very, very quickly, and you don't seem to be able to do that. That isn't this thing of that you're being punished or that you're doing something wrong. It's not at all. Let that go. Let this idea go that it has to be at this specific time. Try to let go of the control of needing to do that, because it's all divine timing and you are on that perfect path. Okay. One of the things that Spirit mentioned in the July forecast was talking about how this particular month it's important that you don't start anything new, because they were saying that you are on the right path even if it just doesn't feel like it. Okay, so yeah, that's one of the other things. What's no longer serving you is this idea that you're running out of time. Okay, you're not running out of time. Okay, you're not running out of time. What can really help you to not keep falling into this particular thing that you are ready to kind of release and let go, or how you can release and let that go, is just no longer allowing that suffering to take place. I really do feel like, and I know I said this, but I really do feel like that we all need to take responsibility for our own life and what's showing up in our life. We really, really do. And the speed at which we are accomplishing things is, yes, perfect divine timing. But within that divine timing is us learning whether or not we are making decisions or holding ourselves back, rather, from doing anything new because we're afraid. And not even doing anything new, but just appreciating, because I was talking about gratitude, appreciating what we do have, because we're so consumed by fear. The fear of loss, of not having what we have in our life, the fear of failing, the fear of trying, the fear of succeeding. So many different fears. Spirit sort of saying, I just don't know why you've got those fears. I don't know why you need those fears. And I don't know why you want those fears. So does that resonate with you? Are you sort of sitting there going, yeah, actually, I can think of a few things that that I'm holding on to here, fear-based wise, that it probably is stopping me from moving forward. Use the full moon's energy, because this is why we do this sort of thing. Use the full moon's energy to shine light on what those fears actually are. And it is as simple as asking and confirming that those fears will no longer govern your life. I often find the exercise, this is a really cool exercise, by the way, is that you can write on the top of your page, I am afraid of. And then you keep asking yourself, what's the worst thing about being afraid of this? And you write the answer to that on the next line. And then you ask yourself again, well, what's the worst thing about that? And write that down, and so on and so on, until you get to a point where you reach where there is nothing else worse than that. Nothing else worse than that. And then that, whatever that is the thing that you can request the full moon to help you dissolve. Oftentimes, and I'm not putting this into your mind, but I'm just saying this from experience, oftentimes it's the fear of being alone. The fear of being alone is the worst possible outcome that could happen. And so if you realize that you can never possibly be alone, through all of the support that you have, all the spiritual support teams that are around you, all of the physical souls that are experiencing this life here with you, me included, you are never alone. Okay, so that's a really, really good exercise to do. All right. Okay, so in general, this energy, I know the full moon, it's like it's such a good space to celebrate, and you really, really should celebrate this accomplishment that you have at the moment, as far as you finding that newfound confidence within yourself and the resilience to keep going. But it's also a really beautiful time for you to stop playing the comparison game. When you do that, right, you really start to fire up the solar plexus chakra. This is the energy portal that is all about self-empowerment. It's all about your how you feel things, your emotions, right? but it's how you express them as well, how you show up in everyday life. And I can see here that this, as you continue through this and you let go of those fears, or the fear, whatever it is that you're making that list, and what's the worst thing about that? What's the worst thing about that, right? This is the thing that's going to fire up, and you're going to gain way more insights about who you really, really, truly are through this. And you'll be able to show up as the real version of you, rather than only giving little snippets of yourself to people. You can do this without fearing whether or not you're going to be judged, or fearing that people will reject you for you being you. At the end of the day, you'll get to a point where you just don't give a shit. And how beautiful is that feeling? How beautiful is it when you just cannot care anymore about trying to be someone else other than yourself? Okay, so I can definitely see that Spirit is understanding that this is a difficult time for you. They really, really are. It's almost like they just want to give you a giant hug and just sort of say, you got this, we get it. I know it's hard. They're also acknowledging that, being here in the physical 3D dimension for the most part is very, very hard for us. And they get it, that we can get kind of swayed very easily from external sources. We kind of can get off track a little bit, but you are on the right track if you just continue on with this, right? Okay, continue on. And as a result of that, you will start to feel as though things will happen for you, okay? I know that sounds very generalized, but it will. Things will start to fall into place. It's just a little hard to see that right now. So try to trust this message. Okay, so that's the Empress card is why I'm saying that. Okay, and also what they're telling me. Okay, so you will benefit. You will reap what you sow. You will be able to harvest everything that you've put all that time and energy into. And it will come. It will come. It's just not in that moment where you're expecting it to. Okay, and that's okay. Trust divine timing. All right, gorgeous. So this is your full moon energy reading for July 2023. It's a little bit full on. I'm looking forward to revisiting this in my own time, and just working with the full moon, and because I know I can see myself showing up in this as we all do, being it's a collective reading, but it's like in the background I can go, yeah, I can see the things that I do. I'm wanting to work on, and I'm almost a little excited to work on that because I can see where I'm getting in my own way. Yeah, so I'm feeling like, for me personally, I'm feeling like it's not like the biggest celebratory full moon. We've had other full moons where it's been very upbeat and everything. This one's feeling a little darker, even though it's so illuminated, but it's necessary. So if we can trust that, if anything else, if we can just trust that this is necessary for us, then we can continue to grow, move forward, and enjoy this journey as well. Okay, so how did you go with this reading? Leave a comment if you feel called to give me a thumbs up. And obviously this is something that we do very regularly, so if you want to know when these videos show up, subscribe to my channel. Okay, all right, honey, so I'm sending you so much love and blessings for this full moon of July. Namaste.